Okay, Article 20, Amendments. 1. 6 years after the entry into force of this treaty, any state party may propose an amendment to this treaty. Thereafter, proposed amendments may only be considered by the Conference of States Parties every 3 years. Any proposal to amend this treaty shall be submitted in writing to the Secretariat, which shall circulate the proposal to all states parties not less than 180 days before the next meeting of the Conference of States Parties, at which amendments may be considered pursuant to paragraph 1. The amendments shall be considered at the next Conference of States Parties, at which amendments may be considered pursuant to paragraph 1 if no later than 120 days after its circulation by the Secretariat. A majority of States Parties notify the Secretariat that they support consideration of the proposal. 3. The Secretariat parties shall make every effort to achieve consensus on each amendment. If all efforts at consensus have been exhausted and no agreement reached, the amendment shall, as a last resort, be adopted by a 3/4 majority vote of the states parties present and voting at the meeting of the Conference of State Parties. For the purpose of this article, states parties present a voting means. States parties present a casting an affirmative. State parties present and casting an affirmative or negative vote. The depository shall communicate any adopted amendment to all states parties. 4. An amendment adopted in accordance with paragraph 3 shall enter into force for each state party that has deposited its instrument of acceptance for that amendment 90 days following the date of deposit, with the depository of the instruments of acceptance by a majority of the number of states parties at the time of the adoption of the amendment. Thereafter, it shall enter into force for any remaining state party 90 days following the date of deposit of its instrument of acceptance for that amendment. Wow.